bit deeper directly into the Nvidia story and AI in general. Now, Nvidia, as you heard, fell today, and it took down some other semiconductor stocks with it. But Nvidia's numbers were huge. So why didn't the stock respond in a positive way? Let's find out more. Bring in fast money friend Gene Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management. It's a good question. The numbers were good. The guidance were good. But apparently the market wanted great, not just good.
You know, Brian, I'm a big believer when you start explaining you're losing, and I run the risk of explaining here today. So my perspective was, I think the market is viewing this exactly like Guy laid out, is that the incremental raises are getting less impressive. In fact, if you look at the guidance, it was up 2.5% from where the street was expecting for October. They guided up 5.2% back when they guided the July quarter. So you see that deceleration. But I think there's an important piece that can be missed here, which is it was very clear that Blackwell shifted from the October to the January quarter. And very few analysts made any adjustments to their numbers as that was being rumored. So if you look at the guidance on an apples-to-apples basis and bring in the several billion in revenue that Jensen outlined for the first quarter when Blackwell ramps, it's now in the January quarter, but bring that back to the October quarter, they raised guidance by 12%, and that would have been an acceleration. So again, I'm explaining, I think the market is just viewing this as taking a breather, wanting more, but they're going to get more when it comes to that January quarter. I expect that's going to be a blowout.
You heard, first off, you gave Guy a nice compliment, which is wonderful and well-deserved, but you also probably heard what he said, which is that, you know, is this the start of something in a bad way? And, you know, stocks can turn. First off, Nvidia hasn't really made any money in 2 months. I know it's only 2 months, but still, stocks can turn quickly. I mean, you have these kinds of numbers, these kind of beats, and this kind of forecast, and we don't see positive price action. Do you think this could be, to Guy's point, kind of the start of investors not losing confidence in Nvidia, but maybe traders losing confidence in Nvidia as a tradable stock?
I think we still have 2 great years left of Nvidia. Deepwater, we own the stock. The reason why we own it is that we believe that to get to general intelligence and eventually super intelligence, the scaling laws in tech are going to hold. And the scaling laws are to increase compute. You have to put more hardware and data at it. And if that's the case, if you believe that in order to reach general and super intelligence, the scaling laws will hold, NVIDIA is going to have an outside benefit to that. And I think we're still very early in this trade. We some of the traders talked earlier about kind of this AI trade getting long in the tooth. And I think it's really healthy for an AI trade. I'm in the camp that 3 to 5 year bull market that's going to be powered by AI. And so we're still early in that. So, Brian, I'm optimistic, and I'm basically staking my career that AI is going to be more transformative than the internet. And I mean, that belief informs how I think about NVIDIA.
Okay, Courtney's got a question, but go on. How can AI be more transformative than the internet, Gene, all due respect, when AI runs off the internet? So it's like the internet is this, and AI is layered on top of it. How can it be bigger than the thing it needs to exist? It's its host organism.
The internet was built on intelligence, was built on human intuition. It was built on intelligence. There was, and ultimately, that is what AI is solving for. Is it's intelligence at scale and at a speed that humans can't touch. And so that's why I think that intelligence came before the internet. And what is the value of basically commoditizing intelligence? And I think there's a high value there.
Now, Gene, we talk a lot about Nvidia, and really it had been kind of almost a bellwether. Everybody's expecting if Nvidia doesn't do well, the market's not going to do well this week, which clearly didn't happen. You're actually seeing the correlation with Nvidia and the markets has been getting smaller over the last 2 years. And I'm curious what your thoughts are there. Like, let's say that we're wrong and this AI trade isn't going anywhere. Does that mean it's something negative for the stock markets, or can they continue to go higher even if that trade doesn't pan out?
I think the way this plays out is right now it's obviously a narrow market that's driven The performance has been narrow. It's been related to AR and largely related to AI hardware. And I'm of the belief that this will impact margins. This is a well-traveled bull case for AI, is that ultimately every company is going to have AI as part of their fabric of their company, just like mobile and the internet is. And so if that's the case, I think we can see higher margins. I think that the rest of the market will get pulled up. If I'm wrong, I still think we're going to see leadership within AI, within some of these companies. It's hardware for the next couple of years. Then we're going to see the baton move over to software. We're going to see a class of new IPOs, probably in 2027. It's really exciting.